that's the conversation that I try to avoid a lot, because I know what I have to offer, and I present it in a way like take it or leave it kind of thing. But like in the back of my head, there's always that thought like, come on guys, really? As long as I've been doing this, what you just said is absolutely 100% new to me. I've never considered that, and that might be the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to start doing something a little bit different. We're going to be working on doing some podcasts. We're going to invite other people in the industry to join me on this channel, and we're just going to talk about the industry, talk about things going on, talk about life, and see where it goes. So today I've got Kevin New. He is owner of Panther Lights, and we've talked many times before in other forums, through social media and things like that, and I just thought it'd be really cool to hop on here and just kind of see what he's all about, what Panther Lights is all about, and just see where it goes from there. So hey man, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to this new thing you got going on. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah man, definitely. I think there's a lot of builders out there, and people know the brands, but they don't necessarily know the faces behind the brands, or if they do, it's very little. And I kind of want to like demystify some of that, like let's see the builder behind the builds, like what's going on, what motivates you, how did you get into this, that kind of thing, like. But for that, just let's start right there, man. How did you get into this? How did you start retrofitting?
So we can kind of address this part of it, I think, in a couple of different ways. So we'll take the generic path first, I think. I had found myself in a situation where I was very low on money. If you look back at 2008, 2009, we had the Great Recession, right? I hit bottom those days. It was pretty hard. I hit hard. And I had found myself in a 2002 Cleveland Heights cop car, Crown Victoria. And if anybody who ever sees this has ever been in or around one of those, may or may not know that they are literally the worst designed headlights in the entire world. But I had a new baby. I had my girlfriend. I needed to care about them. And if they're going to be driving this car or be in it, I mean, safety's an issue, man. So I had done some like weird custom stuff before this, but like actual projectors became my priority at this point because I needed to see. So I did a lot of projector retrofits from that point forward, and here we are 15 years later. It's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Oh, I'm sure, man. Yeah, it's it just kind of getting there. It's so intimidating when you first like think about a retrofit and knowing like, at first you think like, okay, I could pay somebody to do this. And then you see the prices and are like, dude, I'm broke. I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm going to try it myself. And it's like, where do I start? Like, how am I going to go about this? And like, I've done a Crown Vic, so I'm aware of the absolute garbage material they are made out of. I'm sure. Did you successfully open that on the first set?
So I had got lucky. So if for anybody watching this, what he's referring to, if you don't already know, Permaseal is a nightmare. And you combine that with an absolute trash design of a headlight, and you get this mixture of stuff that is literally impossible to work with. So you start prying on these headlights, and they literally fall apart. But here's where I got lucky. So we have a company called Certifit in our area. I don't know. I think they're a nationwide company, but they're kind of sprinkled around. We call them Sortifits because everything's kind of like, really cheap body panels and headlights, things like that. Well, they have a very particular brand that I decided to try, and I got so lucky that they are one of two brands that I now know of that are beautiful. So I got lucky that a quick 7 minutes in the oven, the lenses popped right off. So no, I did not have to destroy my headlights to get into it. However, when I started doing this, a friend of mine had a same year, it might have been a little newer, Ford Taurus. And I'm like, dude, I did my headlights. I could totally do yours. Nope. Same issue. Completely destroyed his headlights. Relatively new car. Not good. Was not pretty.
Yeah, permaseal, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that, like, especially if you're new at this stuff, I think it's enough to make you never want to touch another headlight again if you get a bad set.
You ain't kidding, man.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And actually, it's to a point where, like, and I think you may agree with this, or at least partially. I got to a point where I have done so much now at this point, 15 years later. Well, it's technically 18, but 15 years later from my first projector retrofit, that I've done so many permaseal headlights that I just decided that I will never, ever open them up in the traditional sense anymore. So I, with the old fashioned oven, heat and pray and pray, right? Now, I invested in a relatively decent ultrasonic cutter, and I don't even deal with permaseal anymore. So anytime, I don't care what headlight it is, if the second I take my flathead to it and that sucker doesn't want to move, I pull out my basket with my ultrasonic cutter, plug that in, I cut it open. 5-10 minutes later, I'm done.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a freaking nightmare sometimes, and especially if you're dealing with an expensive light, like who has you don't have the money worked in to replace a light when you warp it or something else. So, I mean, a lot of guys do. I do try to open most of the ones that I get, and I usually will have a few that get trashed, and I got to replace them. So
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, man. It's quite a pain in the butt to deal with permaseal. And it seems like it's getting worse, especially like VLAN now. I think they've kind of stepped up their game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there are certain exceptions to that rule. I mean, I kind of drew a hard line right there when I said that. But, like, for instance, the modern Dodge Challengers, for instance, those are so easy to open. I mean, yeah, they're permaseal, but, like, of course it takes me a little longer to do it. But I will absolutely open those versus cutting them instead. Same thing with the Chargers. For the most part, they're relatively simple to open. Some of the modern Mopars in general are relatively easy. So, but on the other hand, like you say, there are some other brands that didn't have this issue are now really, I don't know if it's even investing in.
Chargers suck.
Yeah, they do. I'm done with it.
Yeah, they warp. It's like they warp every time.
Yeah,
that's why I tried to get into the perm-free lights. And it didn't really take off as well as I'd kind of hoped it would. I knew it was an experiment going into it, but they never really sold. Funny enough, I ended up using I only bought 3 charger lights that were perm-free, so they were open, unsealed, and I sold one. I used the other 2 for my own builds. They never caught on, and then it was like I have lights sitting, collecting dust, and it's an investment, and it was like, I don't have the space, I don't have the money, I don't have so I kind of had to back out. But at some point I do want to try to get back to it, because I know personally I would gladly pay another $100 to $150 to not deal with it.
Yeah. And
cutting them open, like the FRS VLANs, cutting them open is really hard because there's not like a clean line to cut. Mm-hmm. It could be done, but it's not. Some of them are a little more difficult to cut. So
yeah, and I ran into that
sucks.
actually. I ran into that. I did a I forget what year it was, 2018 or 2019 Acura NSX. The headlights were fantastic. They were super easy to work on. I don't want to say easy, but in perspective of what we're talking about, it was on the easier side, on the more green side of the meter. But I did his taillights too. And the amount of angles and shapes and corners and cuts and everything that was involved, there was absolutely not a single chance that I could have ever actually opened those up, in the traditional sense. So I did have to cut them. But my God, what a nightmare. That was really hard. And it was so hard even because, you have to seal these things back up in a way. So what I normally do 99% of the time is I mask it twice. It's where I'll mask in front of the cut and then I'll mask behind the cut all the way around. Then I'll lay my silicone and I'll peel the tape so I get a nice clean line. Well, that was a complete nightmare. I'm lucky that the customer himself didn't actually get his hands on those lights before giving them to a builder or an installer, to actually install, because it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. Yeah, dude, it was bad. It was bad. I did the
That's
best
what
I could.
scares me about cutting. Oh yeah. Well, that's what scares me about cutting them, because it's like then you got to try to reseal them, and then every once in a while you get the absolute worst case where they have an issue and you have to open them back up. Mm-hmm. That's even worse. Like, because trying to get it clean again after a reseal of something you cut open.
Mm-hmm. You know what I started doing?
It is not good.
I actually, because I did unfortunately, I have had to go back into other headlights that I've already done once. I've actually started belt sanding the ones, because I mean that silicone's on there, it ain't coming off. So I just lightly just started taking it to my belt sander, and just it sucks and it's really aggressive, but you kind of covering it back up with the silicone, so like it almost doesn't matter. But if you're not careful, you're gonna just and zip down too far or something and totally screw the light up. So you're right, it's not worth it sometimes. So you just have to kind of pick your battles, really.
It's a hit or miss. I think a lot of people don't really factor in that. Like, they look at retrofitters like us and they just think like, well, shoot, what do you got? Like, $700 in parts, but you want $1,400 to build the lights. Like, you're just greedy. And it's like, dude, you have no clue.
No.
You have no clue.
Nope. And that's the thing that's the conversation that I try to avoid a lot, because I know what I have to offer, and I present it in a way like take it or leave it kind of thing. But like in the back of my head, there's always that thought like, come on, guys, really? I just want to line up all the special tools, and I want to write down everything I know that the other builders in my community don't. And, like I want to do these things and say, look, this is why you're paying that price. But it's a little edgy. It's a little might not necessarily be the political way or professional way to handle things. So I just keep my mouth shut.
Well, it's the kind of thing. It's you're not paying for the hours. You're paying for the experience. And I think beyond that too, like we get busy. We have a lot going on, and at a certain point, you are paying for all the mistakes that we've made to get where we're at. So you're paying for the fact that we can only do so much in a day, and we have a lot of people that want our services, and we have to factor that in, or else, in my case, I'd probably have, if I charged far less, I'd probably have a year or 2 year long backlog, and nobody wants that.
No.
And then on the flip side, you've got the reality of just like all of the hard lessons that we've had to learn. Like, I'm big about, like, I do not like quoting you and then coming back later and saying, hey, I underquoted, it's going to be this. Like, I'm going to eat that. If I underquoted, that's on me. That's not on you. There's a lot of builders that will quote you low. It's kind of like a contractor. I've seen contractors before. They quote you low, and then they have to come back later and be like, I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that. Nobody wants that. Even if you understand and you're like, I get it. You didn't realize that it was going to be this. I get it. Here's the extra money. But nobody wants that. I don't want to do that to somebody.
Right.
So I would rather quote enough to cover the potential problems. And I've lost money on builds. I think we all have.
No, you have to. Again, that falls into the same umbrella as this is why my prices are the way they are, right? I mean, you've made these mistakes, you've made these issues. Will you make that mistake again? No. That's just another notch, another peg in the board, another reason why my prices are the way they are. I have been here. I have done this countless times, time and time again. Take it or leave it.
And you
That's
also
where I'm at.
know, like, parts-wise, there's cheap parts that aren't worth your time, and then there's good parts that can actually end in a good result. And, like, I think for builders, especially, the ones that want to do this long-term, like, we're not in it for the short term. We're not just here to make a couple bucks and get out. We want to be here for the long time. That means that every build that we make is a piece of artwork that we created, and the last thing we want to do is put something out there that's doesn't quite stand up, doesn't hold up to the test of time, or doesn't have the output or the brightness or whatever that we're looking for, that we really want to create. And I think that makes it difficult too when you're comparing to some of the builders that are at the race to the bottom. They want to be the cheapest, and it's like there's a cost to that. And unfortunately, when you inevitably have to replace parts, it's not like you saved money. You actually end up spending more.
Yeah. And that's such a great thing to say, and I even have one other side thing to add to that. So, the the quality of the parts that you choose to use, that's absolutely a priority. To kind of build onto that, I also have a standard of what I expect my headlights to look like or not look like. And here's what I mean by that. Perfect example. I had an email this morning. I just had surgery, so that's really all I did today is just respond to emails all day. So I was able to get through, and I get this a lot. People want like LED strips in headlights where they just don't belong, right? I have gotten comfortable saying I will do A, B, C, and D, but E, where you want that LED strip at the bottom of this headlight that doesn't have it or doesn't make sense to have it, it's going to look tacky. It's going to look like a rubber silicone strip sitting at the bottom of your headlight. It's not giving you that look like it's designed to be there. I tell people I'm not going to do it because I have standards. If my headlights can't look like they belong there or they could have come from the factory that way, you know what I mean? I won't do it. Like, and I'm not trying to single anybody out, but I see a lot of people putting halos into headlights, and they're not mounting them to anything. They're just putting them in a reflector bowl and like gluing them in or something, and then like they're not mounted to a face of a projector or they're not mounted to a solid surface or something like that. I won't do it. I've never done it, and I refuse to do it. I will never put my name on stuff like that because to me, that is far below my standards of quality and, reliability and appearances. So, like I said, just
it's
to build
reputation.
off of that, 100%.
It's
100%.
reputation, and that's, in many cases, you'll be known by your worst work. Like, that will be the thing that people remember forever. And
Yeah.
I know I've got sets out there that haunt me from way back when I first started, when I didn't know any better and I used stuff and I did stuff that I regret, and I don't do it now. And it's the same thing. I've got certain customers will send you a picture or a photo or a video of somebody's car, and they'll be like, I want this, exactly what they did. And it's like, that's a 10-foot shot.
Yeah.
That's a shot that is at a flattering angle of a light that in person you would laugh at.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to do that because then you're going to tell people that I built this set and I can't be proud of it. And if I'm not proud of it, I'm not going to build it. And I'm in the same boat. And I think every builder should find what they're proud of and only build what they're proud of. Don't settle just because it's a sale and just because if you can't be proud of it at the end of the day, that's still your work. And as far as other people are concerned, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, yeah, I've seen his work, I don't like it. You just shot yourself in the foot just to make a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, if the customer wants it, by all means, it's their car. They should be able to do whatever they want. But it's also you. It's also your reputation, and you should be able to turn down whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in that instance, I always just kindly ask them to find somebody else. I mean, because I won't put my name, my stamp, my approval on something that I just can't get behind. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, there's a decent amount of times where I get some drawback, some kind of kickback where it's like, hey, like really, like I'm trying to give you money. But on the other side of that, my favorite is when the guys say, you know what? I freaking respect that. Thank you. And either A, they're going to buy from me anyways and take my recommendation, or, they'll kindly move on and say, okay, thank you for your time. But it's the ones that create an issue because I won't take their money. I'm sorry. I don't want that customer anyways. You know what I mean? So
I had
I'm
a
okay
guy
with it.
one time that asked me to do something that so he wanted tinted lights. And I told him, I said, now tinted lights, your output's not going to be as good. We can black out the lights, we can make it look good, but if you go tinted, the output's not going to be good. And he insisted he wanted to go with the tinted lights. So we did tinted, and then as soon as I finished the lights and I sent it to him, his number one complaint, they weren't bright enough.
I can't see. I told you.
And it was like, dude, I told you. I
Yeah.
knew this was going to be the case. So there's a lot of times where they'll insist that they want something, and the reality is they don't realize what they're asking for. And even though I told this guy, like, you're going to have this problem,
Yeah.
I should have just been straight up like,
Won't do it.
I'm not going to do it. You're not going to be happy, and I don't want to give you something that you're not going to like.
Yeah. And so years ago I did It was like a late 80s or early 90s, like a CK truck from, I think it was a GMC or a Chevy. I forget which model, but, it was top and bottom, two-piece. And the customer, and all this was, we weren't even building projectors. It was literally a customer who just wanted drop-in LEDs. I know it's like a sin to do that, but the guy wanted just LED headlights and had no idea how to install it and asked me to do it. I said, sure. He's like, I got these brand new headlights I ordered online. So when I first met up with him, he gave me the headlight, and there was something wrong with the adjuster or something like that. I'm like, look, we can rig this in, which I absolutely don't want to do, or you can contact manufacturer, send you a replacement. Okay, cool. Well, they sent him a replacement, and they sent him the smoked model headlights instead of the clear. Now, had I not had the clear set first, we would never have known that this set of lights was a tinted set of lights because they were so minimally tinted. I mean, it was only because they were side by side is the only reason why I knew that. So this gave me an opportunity because I took this. I was like, okay, we're going to learn from this. So I took these LEDs, put them in the clear set, put the lux meter on the wall, and got a reading from that. Okay? Exact same scenario, pulled that bulb out and put it in that lens. Now, when I tell you that there was a 40% decrease in light output just from this incredibly minimal tint that I couldn't even tell was tinted, like from that moment forward, I have told every single customer that wants to tint their lenses, no. I mean, not as bluntly, of course, but I would always tell them, like, look, we can paint the internals black. That will give you the dark smoke look that you want without sacrificing the actual integrity of your light output. Because number one, yes, my headlights, when I offer a set of headlights, yes, they can be flashy. They can have the color changing and all the halos and the chasing patterns and all this other cool stuff. But the very foundation of 99% of the headlights that leave my shop all have an LED or an HID projector retrofitted into them. So the core of every headlight is to boost nighttime performance, right? So why are we going to pay the money to have this done and then just cut it off? You're going to cut its balls right off, from the start. I'm sorry, but I won't do it. Let's paint it black and move on.
Even if you put halos, even if you put strips, it's like you're only just making it harder for you to see all that stuff. You've put all this work inside of a light. If you want a black light, just take your lights, black them out, and save yourself the money. But if you're going to get a custom set of lights, you're going to get everything decked out on the inside. Don't do what the people that don't want to open lights do, because that's what you do. If you don't want to open your lights, you get a rattle can of tent paint,
nightshades,
go to town, and you've got there you go. Yeah. And if that's what you want to go for it. I wouldn't recommend it. I won't do it to my car, but once again, your car, you do it your way. But like, if you're gonna pay for a retrofit, you want to see what's inside. I get that a lot with like fluted lights. There's a lot of older lights that have the fluting on the front, and I get people that want them done, and it's like, I want to be straight with you, dude. You're not going to see any of the work that we put inside. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to look
and
great.
It's the same thing for me, dude. Like, because like in my market, which is all Panthers, Ford's Panther platform, from 98 and up, I don't have this issue. But 97 and below, this platform of car is all fluted lenses. So like all of the customers below that year, they all feel left out. They're like, how are you called Panther Lights and you're not going to offer lights for this car? I'm like, well, look, I don't have resources to manufacture clear lenses, and I get to have this whole fluted conversation with them because that fluted texture renders literally everything that I install completely useless. Why are you going to spend $700,000, $800,000, $1,000, and then for what? What are you getting out of it? So that's another thing.
It feels like you're cheating them.
Yeah,
it feels like you're just trying to take their money. It's selling them something that you would never like. I got red tails on my Legacy. I haven't done tails yet. I haven't made them yet because I want to go clear.
Yeah.
And until I can go clear, it's not worth the effort and the money that I would put into the tails. And that's on my own car.
Yeah.
and you get all the people that want it because they want custom tails, they want custom heads, and it's like, you shouldn't. Just wait. Just don't do it. It's not where you want to put your money. There's other places to put your money.
No, and to me, that's the integrity that to me is what makes the difference between, people like you and I. We have a little bit of integrity. We have, I won't just take your money for the sake of taking money. Whereas, there are some other guys out there that'll gladly do it, just because, they're making money, do whatever they got to do. But that's what sets us apart. Like, I won't do it just for the sake of making $1.
Yeah.
I have full faith in myself to offer a product that everybody should be happy with, right? Especially the guy buying it. And if I deliver a set of headlights with fluted lenses and you just paid $1,000 for it, no thank you. That's not something I want my name attached to.
No, it's just, it's the difference between somebody here long term and somebody that's just trying to make a quick buck. And it's kind of sad because I think the market is full of people that they get into it for one reason or another, and then I think it just becomes this case where it's just all about trying to get the sales, trying to get the money. And I think in a way they're kind of hurting themselves too, because not only is that reputation and things like that, but it's like, long term, if you can afford to not be picky in the builds that you take on, you'll be happier. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, they kill themselves by taking on builds that they probably don't even really want to do because it's a sale and they haven't had a sale in a while and they just need it and they want it. And they probably don't even realize that they're in that position because they take on builds that they shouldn't do that hurt their reputation. People see those builds and say, I don't know that I want that guy because he put that strip in a light in a way that it looks tacky. And it's like, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And I've been there. I've done it. Like, it's not, no judgment here. I think it's just more like,
we've all done it.
You learn the lesson and then you try to recover from it. And like I said, I've got builds out there that I'm not proud of. And I know guys that have reached out to me and like, I got one of your builds. I'm not impressed. I'm like, I'm not either. It was bad.
That's so good that you can
like
actually
3 years ago.
Yeah, it's so good that you can actually laugh at it because, like, it's so funny because when I do come across an old set of lights that I've done myself, I've had a lot of repeat business, and I pride myself in that. I feel like I have a fair amount of people who trust me, right? So I got a guy local actually who I have done a lot of work for on multiple cars, and this I would say is probably 2 to 3 years ago. And as somebody who genuinely cares about their business, you're always changing. Every build is a learning experience. I don't care how long you've been doing it. Every single build gives you an opportunity to improve on the last one you've done. And because of that, things are always changing. So like you don't always truly know when you get back into an old build, you don't always remember or always know where you were at that point. So what I'm getting at is getting back to this repeat customer. I had pulled his headlights apart, and I'm looking at this going, is this mine? Like, I had to question it. Like, this is not a proud moment at all. Like, what was I thinking? But to me, that's how we learn. That's how we grow. And that's how we continue to completely complete overhaul. You look at me 3 years ago to the work that I was doing then to what I'm doing now. It's a complete night and day difference. I mean, obviously a positive change, but that's all you can do, man. It's all you can do is just learn and just continue to grow and get better at what you do. And you'll have the luxury to pick and choose and do the things that you want to do versus some of the things that you may or may not be forced to do because you need it.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, when you're first starting out, it's I tell a lot of builders, sometimes when you're starting out, you might have a lower cost, for lights. Sure. Like you're dealing with people with less money and they're giving you an opportunity, and you can build on that budget or you can build beyond that budget. And like I always looked at it like building beyond the budget. So you might have a budget of $1,000 and the lights that I want to build, the ones that I see as a profile piece, are going to cost $1,500. But this is an opportunity for me to build a $1,500 set of lights for $1,000 to try and get myself to that position where that's a set that I'm going to be proud of, and somebody sees it, and they're more likely to look at me and want me as a builder. Now, I might have actually spent money making that set, but it's a lot better than me literally building it for all on my dime. Somebody paid me some of it. They helped me. I built it out. And in the end, I think that helped get me where I wanted to be, because people are usually like, if you go to a customer and you're like, hey man, look, I know we were going to do this, but what if we do this, this, and this too, and I pay for it? Most of the time, they're like, yeah, that sounds good, do that. And then you have the opportunity to build the set that
you want to build.
Gets you more sales. Exactly.
Yeah, because as the saying...
I did that a lot.
As the saying goes, you dress for the job that you want, right? So
absolutely.
I really believe, I'm sorry, but as long as I've been doing this, what you just said is absolutely 100% new to me. I've never considered that, and that might be the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Because there are so many things that I want to do, and so many people who are willing to throw money at me, but don't necessarily have the budget for the things that I want to do. I'm sorry, dude. You got my gears turned. You got something triggered over here that's really got me going here, because I think that's fantastic.
I think that's something else. We see it a lot, is that a lot of customers are not visionaries necessarily. Like, they see things that they like and they want you to replicate it, but they're not as easy to look at a light and see what it can become. And that's because, like, I think for a lot of us, we are artists, so like we can look at a block of wood and see what it can become, you know? Whereas a lot of other people can't. And that's where, unfortunately, if we don't have that car, we can't make it for our own car. We have to make it for somebody else's, and we have to try to figure it out. And once again, like you said, budgets are definitely an issue for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But
especially these days.
Like you said, you got to dress for the job that you want. You got to try to work for it. And a lot of times it's going to cost money. And I tell people a lot, like, I haven't made any money since I started this. I pump it all right back in. And it's little things like that, like building nicer builds. My haunt builds, the ones that haunt me. If anybody reaches out to me with an old set of my lights, I will do what I can to fix them.
Bring them up to date standards. Yep.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times I do charge for parts, because you're talking back then, I was using BTF strips, garbage. It was bad.
Amazon specials.
I learned my lessons. I'm done with that. But I've got builds that I probably still have a few that are floating around with that stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And by all means, if somebody reaches out, I'm like, look, the stuff I'm using now is like $100 a meter versus that stuff was like 20. Like, it's more money. If you cover parts, I'll cover labor, shipping, all that. I'll get it done. And most of the time, like, they're all on board. And when they get them back, they're blown away, because, you know, anytime somebody gets a bad build and then a good build, they're over the moon.
Yeah.
So.
Now you
even if it's my old builds.
Right. Now you've even further exceeded whatever expectation that they've already had, because like you mentioned before, a lot of people don't really know what exactly it is that they want. And sometimes it's up to you to tell them what they want. And I know that might even sound slightly aggressive, but I get to kind of like, I know you and I were talking a little bit before going live here, and to go back a little bit on one of our conversations that we spoke to earlier is about the website, where I believe that because customers, like you said, they'll come up to you and go, I saw this picture. I want this. I want exactly this. But they'll never, ever really be able to step out of the box. Well, my website now, which I'm very happy with my website, and my website works for about 80% of the traffic I get, because that's about, I get about 80% of those customers who just say, I want that. I want what he has. So in that aspect, the website is fantastic, because they can just look, click, say, oh, I like that one, and buy it, and it's over with. But the other 20%, those are the ones, for me, those are the ones that I enjoy having conversations with. I have email threads that I'm looking at. I got about 21 email threads right now that I'm seeing here on my computer that I have started conversations and have lengthy emails back and forth, really determining what this person may or may not want. And those are the ones that I really enjoy, because they give you a little bit of freedom. And now what you just brought up to me, this may actually change the way I do things going forward, or at least I might dip my toe in that and just try, because there's so many things that I want to do that I just can't. So first of all, thank you. I really mean that. Thank you. Okay. But I'm just excited for the freedom for those 20% of people, because
that's it. Like, if you think about like the big artists, like way bigger than us, but like Michelangelo, people like that. They were basically like, people would come to them and say, paint me a painting. They didn't have the luxury of saying, I want it to look like this. Paint me, do the statue of David, No, it was just like,
that's a good analogy,
I want
dude.
a statue. And they were given the freedom to create what is nowadays considered the greatest art of all time.
Yeah.
Had they been put in parameters and said, you need to do this, it greatly limits what they can do. And I get it. Like, some people want simple things. They don't want much. I tell a lot of people, if you want simple, I may not be the right person for you. Now, that's me personally. That's not every retrofitter. But I excel at loud, RGB, flashy. That's kind of like my thing.
Yeah.
If you want simple, there's really good builders for that.
Yeah.
And they're a much better fit for you than me personally. And that's each builder. You figure out what your niche is. I mean, you're Panther Lights. Like, if anybody wants a Crown Vic, who else would they go to, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You do them all the time, every day. Like, so you know them inside and out, and all those other, the Marauders and all those other platforms, but you know them inside and out. So it's that kind of idea where it's like, why limit you if you don't have to? But I mean, we get ideas all the time up our head. Like, I got a Forester, man, and I've been pushing the envelope on that as much as I can, because there's no support for it whatsoever. And I come up with new ideas and this and that, and try this, different ideas and things. And it's like, all right, let's see what we can do with this. Let's try this. Let's try that.
Throw it at the wall, see if it sticks, man. I mean, sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but to kind of go back like one more step, how you brought up, like you said, I'm Panther Lights, so 90% of the customers, or I'm throwing arbitrary numbers out there, but I mean, a fair amount of people are going to go, Panther Lights. Okay, he must be the guy. Even if they've never heard of me, okay, he must be the guy, right? Then they pull up the website and they're like, oh, cool, right? So I had a guy fairly recently hit me up. He's got a town car, and he says, I had a set of Ram headlights built by the one and only. And before he said anything, I'm like, Jeremy McPhail. And he goes, how'd you know? I'm like, because he's the guy. And I'm so glad he put me in this position. I'm so glad that he said this. And he said, and I'm not going to say names here, but he's like, I'm also talking to this other builder, and he's $200 to $250 cheaper than you. Why would I choose you? Well, same reason you went to Jeremy. I am the guy. The other person you're talking to has a lot of experience. I've dealt with that guy. He's a great person. He's a great builder. I have a lot of respect for him. But this is my niche. This is what I've been doing, right? So, like, I can charge the prices that I charge because I've been here for 18 years. Sorry, 15 years. I've been doing it for 18 years, but 15 years exclusively for the Panther platform. I've been doing it most of my customer base's life, to put that into perspective. So as soon as I said that, he goes, damn, you're good. Where's the invoice? I'm like, thank you. Thank you, sir. It was just...
And he's also like, he's had that good experience with Jeremy.
Yeah.
And so obviously his standards are going to be there, where he understands, like, you want it built right. And it's the kind of thing where I think a lot of people, they do budget shop, they do price shop a little bit, and they don't understand that not all two builds are built the same. These are not like, there's not a recipe for this.
Right.
we kind of create the recipe.
100%.
So
everybody has their own mixture, their own sauce, so to speak.
Exactly. Like Oreo and, Great Value brand Oreo are not the same.
Right.
And Great Value brand Oreo might be fine, but you're better off figuring out who is the best at whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yep, absolutely.
And then go to that person and just be like, straight up, how much does it cost?
Yep.
And if you're the best, it costs that price for a reason.
Yep.
If you're the best, you're not overcharging. You're charging what the market is for that proper build.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's this that kind of thing. It's like, this is not a price shopping thing. This is a find the right person, find the right builder kind of thing. Another good sign, I think a lot of times you got to be really careful about the guy that's not got a backlog. And it doesn't always mean anything. I know guys with no backlog that are really good. They're just not getting the attention that they should be. But there's also a lot of guys that don't have a backlog, and maybe there's a reason behind it.
Absolutely.
So, it's not always cut and dry. I would say the best thing to do is try to find the right person in the industry for whatever car you're getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to other people that had builds done by that person. And, like customer support and things like that. There's a lot of builders that ghost people.
Oh, I know.
And it sucks. Like,
it
nobody
does.
should have to go through that.
No, and that's an experience that, I take this business very, very, very personally. And a lot of it does have to do with, because it is my business and it is my livelihood and it is the very thing that feeds my family and the only reason why I'm here today. But also, my business does have an incredible sentimental value to it for me for a reason. We don't necessarily have to get into that, but I take this business incredibly personally because of the story behind it and why it is what it is today. And because of that, I do feel like, and maybe, there's going to be some people out there that may disagree with this statement, but after dealing with hundreds and hundreds of people, I'm very, very focused on the customer support side of things. Yes, I can sit down and I can build lights like it's nothing, but the attention that I give everybody, I mean, albeit does spread me a bit thin sometimes, but I pride myself on being able to offer a level of support that I just know that you're not going to get from going to the other guys who can also do some of the work that I may or, that to me is one of the biggest key components of running a successful business. And the only reason why I am able to charge what I charge is because people know that if at some point there is an issue with one of the products they receive from me, all they got to do is call me, text me, message me on social media or email. And granted, I am busy and it might take me slightly longer to get back to you than you may want, but the amount of support and the things and the amount of effort that I put into that to make sure that this person does not have such a negative experience, it's important to do that. You know what I mean? So it's just, to me, service is equally or more important than the quality of craftsmanship. And some people don't truly understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I think it's the idea. Are you here for the long haul, or are you just here to make a quick buck?
Yeah.
And I think the guys that are there for the long haul are the ones that they do care about the reputation. They do care about other people's opinion of them, and they also generally don't want to screw you. Like, it's not a goal of like, I got my money out of you and I'm done with you, and it's just easier to ignore you. It's easier to not try to fix the problems. I see every build as like, if there is an issue, I do see that as like, do I want other people to see the problem that you're having, to hear about your negative experience with it? No, I don't. I want to do what I can to fix the problem if we can, for multiple reasons. Not only for the fact that, like, the reality is I can fix it 10 times easier than you can. as a customer, the person that bought the lights, like, I can fix it. It'll only take me a couple hours. You aren't going to be able to. So, like, I should be the one trying to help you to get them right, whatever the case may be. But also because long term, like, I want people to be happy with a build that I do or something that I've done.
Sure.
And also if something went wrong, I want to know why. And the only way I'm going to know why is to open it up, look inside, and be like, that's what went wrong. Next time I'm not going to do that. Or, maybe sometimes it happens. It's the customer. They did something wrong. And you can, we've done this long enough. You can usually tell. And then most of the time for me, it'll still be like, hey, I'm going to fix it. But this is why it happens. So be careful next time. Don't do this. Don't do that. I think a lot of customers, they're very much like, they want to come into it with the idea that, like, I didn't do it. It's your fault. I just want to know what happened. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
And, then I don't need to point fingers. Let's just fix it. We'll figure out what happened, whether it's you or me. Just tell me what happened. Oh, okay, you jump-started the car and then you fried some LEDs. Okay, next time pull the fuse when you do that and you're good to go. Here's your new fixed-up lights. Go on your way and, we're good to go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, it's not me versus them. I like to see us more of as a team. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, the website. And the idea that, like, I do have stuff on the website, but with a bragging lights side. But that's more so to give people a price point, because I do find that there's a lot of people that are like, you're like eBay pricing, right? Like, you mean for the mass-produced sets from Taiwan? No, this is custom. So it's not quite like that. And, I find that a lot of people, they will go to the website, they'll see the pricing, and then, they'll be like, oh, okay, I can't afford that. I was like, hey, cool, I get it. I was there, too, at one point. That's how I got started, because I was broke. I couldn't afford a set of custom lights, and so I decided that I was going to try to make my own. So I totally get it. And that's kind of like next level Neo. That's usually what I'll tell people. It's like, hey, I got a full YouTube channel full of tons of videos. I sell the parts. I can help you to build your own set if you want to get into it. So it's like both sides of it, which is kind of cool.
No, absolutely. And about the website, as with anything, there's pros and cons, right? And I think one of the biggest pros, at least for me, and this kind of avoided because the market that I'm in does have a higher quantity of people who are less they don't have a ton of money. They don't have a ton of disposable
income.
That's the word I was looking for. A lot of them don't have disposable income. So, and I respect that. I was there. I get it 100%. So the website has one of the biggest pros of my website, and since its inception, has gotten rid of the amount of time that I have to dedicate to the people who unfortunately can't afford a set of lights from me at the moment, right? Where, I like the hands-on approach. I love being able to talk to people, find out what they want, and then provide them with a price. But the website kind of weeds out the people who just unfortunately can't provide, can't afford it for one reason or another. And that to me was worth it in the long run. Although on the flip side, it did kind of remove a little bit of the personal, and this is what I was going to try to say a little earlier. It did remove a little bit of that personal touch, which is why I genuinely appreciate what you're trying to do here. And I know we're kind of going way back to the beginning here, but this platform that you're trying to create, I believe, is going to sort of inject a lot more personality behind the people who are running these businesses, like myself and you and anybody else that you decide to bring on. Because there are humans, real men and women that are running these businesses. People look at my website and go, damn, that's a nice website. He's got to have... Most people don't realize that I'm building it in my 4-car garage. Most people don't realize that I'm in the middle of nowhere, in the sticks, literally, and don't realize that I don't have this giant warehouse full of stuff, because they look at my website and they see all these nice things and they go, damn. So thank you. I mean, really, that's a long-winded way of saying thank you for doing what you're doing, because I think this is an awesome idea, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
I think it's an industry that's still kind of new and growing. I do think the lighting scene within car shows and things is getting bigger. There's still a lot of people that are hesitant to get on board, but I think it's growing. It's growing fast. And I think that unfortunately a lot of retrofitters, we're small time guys doing this on the side, and most people don't know the story behind it or what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I think that's kind of what the point of this is. Like, we're all different. I don't think that there's necessarily like a right way of doing it.
Right.
There's definitely wrong ways of doing it, but
100%.
I think that each person has their thing. I know great builders that just install halo kits.
Yeah.
I like to be a little bit more extreme. I like to go a little bit further, laser cutting panels and doing things like that. That doesn't mean that's the only way to do it.
Right.
There's guys that are very good at installing a halo kit and a light in a couple hours and getting you on your way for a really good price point. And then even beyond that, with like Next Level Neo, I'm really pushing into the DIY side, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that everything is more expensive nowadays, and the amount of disposable income that you have is limited. And I totally get that. And I also think back to way back in 2018 when I built my first set of lights, and I did not have a clue where to start. I didn't know where to get. There were kits, but they were not really.
Not like we have today. Not even close.
No. And there's a lot of corners that are cut in the kits. Like, there are companies out there that sell halo kits, and they might have some vehicle inputs and things like that, but they don't address some of the biggest issues with addressable LEDs, and that is voltage drop that kills them. Mm-hmm. And that's something I have been working hard to try to create controllers that implement power savers, disconnects of some kind to help stop those issues. We use thicker PCBs, we use things like that because, like, I get it, dude. Like, you get a halo, you put it on your car, and then it burns out, and then you're done. Like, at that point, it's like, I spent all that money, it didn't last 6 months, I'm never doing this again. You shouldn't feel like that. Like, that sucks, and I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to be excited about getting into lighting and doing things like that, and that's where it's been a big focus for me in that area. So there's definitely multiple venues for it, and I think that's what this platform is kind of about. Is like a lot of my tutorial videos, it's about showing people how to do the things, talking to you guys, and I plan on trying to do this with a lot of other builders to get an idea of like the markets and where you're at and who is it behind the lights, who's building them, what makes you, why are you special compared to the other guy that's equally special but in a different way,
right?
And trying to shed that light on you guys in that way. And I always kind of looked at it. I think we even talked about it months ago about seeing if somebody else would take this on, do like a podcast of some sort, because it needed to exist.
Absolutely.
And it was just that kind of thing where it was like, why not me? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing this stuff. I don't think that I'm like by any means like the best person at everything that I do, but I'm willing to get in front of a camera. I'm willing to put myself out there in that way, and I've got the setup and the connections to be able to bring you guys in and try to do this. So that's kind of where this came about.
Yeah, and you're in a unique position where, coming from building lights for yourself and advancing into being able to offer that as a service, to now effectively bringing new equipment and new items and new things to the market that make the job for a builder who you had used to be. I mean, it still are, but you know what I mean? That was your only focus back then, to make our jobs better and easier. Obviously, for a better product and the end result for happier customers, which just in turn keeps us going, right? So your experience as a builder to now offering the parts that would have made your job easier when you started.
Oh yeah.
That's so unique.
I didn't want to do this.
No.
I didn't want to do this. I didn't. I actually reached out to a lot of other companies to try to help guide them. Companies that aren't even around anymore. And I would just be like, look, this is what I need. It doesn't exist. Can you make it? And the pushback I got from a lot of people, I think there was a lot of people that were developing things that they really wanted to go their own direction, and unfortunately it just wasn't, they weren't creating the things that I wanted to exist. And eventually it just got to the point where it was like, then I'll just create it.
Yeah.
And so, I basically just decided like I had to be the one to create these things, and to try to fill that gap that existed in the marketplace that
for a long
that upset
time.
me.
Yeah, there was a wide gap for a long time because it was some of the bigger players in the game that were making whatever they were making, and most people would gravitate towards this. But like that segment is getting stale, and now this is the big thing, and there's nobody over here doing that. So like there's just such a wide spread of things, and the fact that you're able to cover a lot of it, I mean that's a big thing. And you've covered such a wide spectrum, and I think based on my order volume from you, not volume, but so when we started doing business, all I was buying was rigid strips, right? That was all I was buying. Now look at my ordering. I mean, I order a little bit of everything from you because, like, you are filling a gap that I think is completely necessary. So I know I'm like giving you a neck rub here. So thank you.
Well,
but
even beyond that, I want to expand beyond that. I want to bring other brands that I recognize and I like into the family. I mean, obviously I work with Ghost very closely.
For sure.
I love their controllers. I push the controllers hard. I love them. And there's
Absolutely.
other brands that I'm working with and communicating with about bringing in. And I want to become more of a marketplace, honestly. I want to be reselling other people's stuff just as much as I sell my own. And, Glow Industries and their Underglow, it is amazing. I love their stuff. I use it on my cars.
Yeah,
and
that's all I use.
I want to bring that stuff under. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
and so so finding other companies that are doing stuff and bringing them under. That's kind of a goal as well. I just want to be a supplier of quality stuff, and that's kind of where I'm pushing to it. And obviously I've had some setbacks. I mean, I think everybody has.
100%. Especially, I mean, these days. I mean, times are tough for everybody. So there's a lot out there right now that are that's slowing progress. But, I think both of us are doing pretty well for, considering all things.
Well, we're still here. We're still here. That
kicking.
Alone, the amount of big time builders that I've seen falling out and like just throwing their hands up and saying I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And guys that I never thought would have done that, and then they did. And it's like, wow, man, like it's bad.
Yeah, there's
it's
two.
Really bad.
There's
talking to other builders.
Two in particular, and I don't know if we're naming names, but there's two in particular that.
No, I don't want to name any.
We won't. But there's one that threw in the towel a year or two ago that kind of hurt me a little bit. But then one that I just found out because he hit me up. I don't know, maybe a week or so ago, asking me if I wanted to buy some of his old parts. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, I've been done for about a year. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. No, because I follow him on all of my socials, and him and I have done. He's helped me in the past. He was actually such a huge inspiration for me to be able to get into the addressable and all the other stuff because he was one of the bigger guys. And the fact that he was done, I'm like, dang, like it sucks to see that, But I don't know. I'm here, and we're still kicking for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I think this is an industry of passion. Like this is not something you do to make money.
No.
Maybe there's some exceptions out there, but I think for the most part, building-wise, now, selling parts, I think you can probably make money if you do it right. But building, if you're trying to build, this ain't a great. You only have so much hours in the day, and you're trying to fight all these people that have more free time, and, you can't really increase that. And now you've got people with lower budgets than what they had out of 5-6 years pre-COVID. I think pre-COVID it was a very different scenario.
Are you allowed to say that word yet?
Kind of really good. COVID or pre?
Yeah, or both. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. It's. I think we're safe on that as long as we don't have any conspiracies on it.
Those are for the after show.
Those are yes, behind the paywall.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for $10. No.
Yeah, no. Pre-COVID, man, it was a different world. People were blowing money on their car left and right. People had spare money, and they don't now. And I think that it is kind of moving in that direction. And that's why a lot of builders are getting out of it now. Is because it was easier to get builds back then, and now it's harder because it feels like the bottom half, like the people with the lower amounts of money, they've dropped out, and now you've got the guys with more money that are a little bit stingier, but they also have more options because retrofitters aren't as busy.
Right.
So,
that's a good stance.
That's hurting people.
That's a really good stance. I never considered it that way. Because I mean the market is vastly different. Not just our market, but just in general, commerce in general is a complete. It's upside down right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, I don't know. You're a pretty fart smeller.
You have to be. Dude, I analyze so much stuff, like just to try to figure out. Like, I mean, you're on YouTube too, so
Yeah.
you do analytics on YouTube
Yeah.
to try to figure out, okay, what do people like?
What's
what do
working?
they not?
What's not?
If somebody doesn't want to watch a video, why make it, right?
Yeah.
It's analytics. Everything's analytics. It's the same thing on the website. I look at the website. I see where people are going, what people are doing. I talk to builders. I try to figure out the market. I try to figure out the voids in the market and try to fill the voids. And that's everything. Everything is all about figuring out. You talk to your customers. They tell you what they want. They tell you what they don't. They tell you the budgets. You know where they're at. And you got to adjust. Or you do like these other builders are. You wave the white flag and you start working somewhere else, doing something else, because
Yeah.
you just couldn't hold out.
Yep. That's a strong stance, and I don't know. I'm grateful to be able to continue and maintain, to do what I love and get paid for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps us in it. That's the only reason I still build.
Yeah.
Like I could totally just focus on Next Level Neo 100%, not build, and I'd be okay. But I enjoy building. It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to not do it. And it also keeps me connected with the parts that I'm selling.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be disconnected from that. So
Yeah. I still get
Yeah.
that giddy feeling when I know that the clamps are about to come off of the headlight after the butyl is cooled down, and I'm able to finally like really look at the finished product. I still get those butterflies. I really do. I know as corny as that might sound, but nearly every single thing that I build, taking them clamps off, this guy, and then being able to set everything down on my bench and go, damn, I did that. It's still, after this long, it's been almost 20 freaking years since I've been doing this. That's insane. This is the only thing of my life that I can honestly say that I have done this many times on repeat and still enjoy.
yeah.
I love it. I do. I just love it. I'm glad to be here.
It's therapeutic in a way.
I know.
Think like ADD, I think everybody's got some form of ADD or some, especially nowadays, cell phones and internet and all the things. It's so easy to get distracted. But like for headlights, that's one area where I can just put my phone down, focus on a headlight for a couple hours, and actually just kind of
Relief.
get to a zen place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even care about my phone on the other end of the room. I don't care what's going on. I'm focused on that light at that moment,
Yep.
that time, what I'm doing there, and it's awesome. It feels great.
I can't tell you how many times, and this is a luxury I have of working at home, because my garage, it is a 4-car garage. It's very large. Well, I say very large, but it's a bigger garage, especially. It's a 32 by 32 or something like that. It's a pretty good space, and it's attached to my house. So I can literally come out here in my pajama pants and slides and do work if I need to. So what's nice about that is anytime I have any hiccups in the house, whether it be maybe an argument with the wife or just stale environment, and I need to get out of the house. Some people might hop in their car and go for a drive, or some people might go outside and have a cigarette or whatever. I come to the garage, I sit down on my bench that's about 20 feet from me, flip the lights on, and go to work. Dude, zen. I think that's the word you used. That is my zen place. That is where I can go to just kind of, mellow out, catch my breath, and why am I playing with scissors? And catch my breath.
Just don't run.
Yeah, and it just allows me to be in a place where all of everything else that's going around and going on around me, to just throw it out the window for now. You know what I mean? Damn, I just don't know what else to say about it. It's just such a good place to be.
It is. And I think that's it. It's that passion. It's not about the money. It's not about making money. I think a lot of people, they hear the price point of what we're doing and stuff, and I think they kind of generate that idea that it's all about making money, but it's really not.
No.
Like, we're doing this to to fill a passion, a desire to create.
It's a genuine
And,
love.
we're fortunate enough to be in an industry where we can do that. A lot of people, everybody wants a dream job, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, we have our dream job.
I mean,
that's awesome.
no, we absolutely do. I mean, Panther Lights was not always my only thing, right? I mean, I've only been 100% full-time for 3 years, but I've had my business for much, much longer than that, and I have been on both sides, right, where I'm working for the man, as they say, and also being where I am today, working for myself and being pretty successful at it. I don't understand. I mean, this might not necessarily be the same exact direct connection that that I wanted to make, but the people who are working for other people and making other people money, they're 90% of them. I mean, again, arbitrary numbers, but a lot of them are miserable. While I'm at home, literally in slides, doing what I love to do. I don't know. Whatever connection that makes. Again, it's one of those things where I'm grateful to be able to do what I love and get paid for it and provide for my family. I don't know. Whatever connection I was trying to make, there it is.
Well, I think that's another cool thing about like I've had people ask, why don't you get a shop? Why don't you get a thing? And I could, but I love the fact that where I work is attached to where I live. And I can come and go as I please. The kids can come and talk to me if they need to. The wife, I can stop, go eat dinner, come back. I don't have to get in a car and drive somewhere to go do what I need to do. I can just do it for a half hour to 12 hours if I need to. Whatever I need to do, come, go as I please. Summers, the kids are home. They do whatever they want throughout the house, and I'm working. Not a big deal. It's I think that helps it even more. It makes it something that, it's brings practicality to it as much as it is still a passion and something we enjoy doing. Now, I do
more
need a bigger
personal
place
too.
because I have massively outgrown this, but yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I think that where we're at right now and what we're doing, it's really cool, and it's really good when we can bring other customers into that. I feel like a lot of my customers are friends. Especially the ones thank God, honestly, because I don't want to. The people that just go on the website, click order, and I never talk to them, I don't get that connection. And I feel left out. I feel like they're not my friend. They're just a customer. And I'm talking build side. I get it on the parts side. You don't need to talk to me. You order the parts, I get them shipped out. Right. But the build side, it's I'm making a piece of art.
That's more personal because that is something that we do.
It's a piece of me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, your stamp is on that.
I want to know the guy.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. My parts, I help develop them and stuff like that, and I do like talking to the people that buy them. But it's not the same as something you build. It's not the same as I opened it. That's one of one. I get a lot of that. I go to shows. I was just at a show this weekend, and I had to tell people time and time in case you don't really think about it. A lot of people don't know what a retrofit is, and they think these are mass-produced lights, and they're just different than everybody else. And it's no, that each one of the lights on this table is one of one.
Yeah.
There's no other like it. Every one of them is one of one, unique. That's the light. And it's that is, when you say that, they're oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because car guys, what do we want? We want to have one of one. Mm-hmm. Most of us, we don't want to have what everybody else has. I
mean, why do you do things to your car in the first place? You're personalizing. You're making it You're making that as an extension of you. So like you said, why are we continuing to do what everybody else is doing? You know what I mean? So being able to say, I did this. This is not something that came off of a belt in China somewhere. This came out of my house with my hands. So
just think about the feeling that you'll have when maybe you have more free time in the future where you can go to car shows. Maybe you go to car shows now, and you start walking around, and you're like, that's one of my builds.
I did that.
Right there.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that guy was here.
That was my favorite.
But that's my build.
Yeah. I have put myself in that position a couple of times, and I will tell you that there is nothing else like that. just accidentally running into it and going, oh, hey, wait a minute, that's me.
Yeah. I get that on the parts. Like I don't not the builds. Like I mean, I've only been doing this since like 2018 build wise, so I don't have as many years behind it. But I do get that on the parts. Like I'll see my parts and I can instantly recognize them, and I'm like, those are my parts.
Yeah.
And I think I know who built it.
Yeah.
I think I know the guy that built those lights. Like it's like I have that connection with the builders. I have the connection with that. But even more, yeah, like that's cool. But
it's not the same
when you do see
it
your
can't
own
be
work,
the same.
It's better. It's
Yeah.
better. You see your own work and you're like, I built that light. I did that. And
Yeah.
it's like, right on. Man.
It's so good. It feels good. That's all. What more can you say about it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally, man. Especially when they win a trophy or something, you know, then it's like,
Ooh,
haha.
that's a notch on the belt. Hell yeah.
That is a notch. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, I do really appreciate you jumping on here with me and, you know, getting to know you a little bit better and what you're all about at Panther Lights. Guys, if anybody's in the market for some lights on Crown Vics, Marauders, you know, what other stuff are you building? Capris?
Yes. Yeah, so the big focus of my business is Panther Lights, which, if you know, you already know. It's Ford's Panther platform, 98 and newer, Lincoln Town Cars, Grand Marquis, Mercury Marauders, Crown Victorias. Those are the main base. However, I do, I would say, majority of other vehicles as well. So anybody's in the market can follow me at any of my social medias at Panther Lights, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Also, hit me up and on the email or on the website www.pantherlights.com. I'd love to
reach
chat.
out.
Absolutely.
Reach out. Get to know him. Get to know the guy behind the build. Tell him what you want, and hey, maybe he's in the mood to do something a little custom for you. You know, you never know. You never know.
I learned something new today, so you could be the next one.
You never know. You never know. Reach out. But once again, I do appreciate it, man, and I love seeing your work, love seeing your videos, your YouTube channel. That's something else. Definitely check it out. He does some really good work on there.
Thank you.
And I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate you being you doing this for me, and appreciate being a part of it for sure. Thank you.